Hello, it is Sherry with Red Apple Auctions, and today I want to talk about the importance of running your own race when it comes to planning your auction gala. Now, years ago, when I got into auctions, I thought I want to learn more about how the whole process is to develop a fundraising gala. I wasn't yet confident enough to get up on stage and actually run the auction, but I wanted to understand the back end. I lost my camera there. I think it's still recording now. Okay. So I want to understand the back end part of it. So I had volunteered on a couple of different committees. And what I observed was that oftentimes we would have someone who was usually well-meaning, who attended other events in town. And they came to the committee meeting and said, hey, you know what they're doing at the big event across town that raises $1 million? They're doing X and Y and Z. And I think we should do that as well. Even though we're only raising $40,000, maybe the reason we're only raising 40 and they're raising $1 million is because we're not doing these other things. Perfect example, that mobile bidding. When that first came out, that was something that smaller organizations would be like, well, maybe we're supposed to do this and bring that technology into their auction. And I understand why there is resistance to say, no, we're not going to use that or use that or use that. I understand that because people aren't really familiar with what it takes to pull off the event that they need. And so they see what other groups are doing and they think, well, maybe we should do that. It's kind of like you have to usually go through several diets before you find something that works for you. And that's what I oftentimes see happening in the auction gala world, which only slows down the chance to really advance that year after year after year. So at that time, what I had done, it was the first class that I led as part of my company, was I had a profitable auction blueprint. It was a 9-week program that took people through every element of planning an auction because I wanted them to have the confidence when they heard something new that did not work for them in their plan, they could say, that's a great idea. We've considered that and it won't work for us because of X, Y, and Z. They would just have that confidence. So we did the profitable auction blueprint a few times. I ran that thing a few times end to end to end. And we learned about sponsorships and volunteer management and procurement and games and raffles and funded needs and all of that sort of thing. But the point being that it was to get people to run their own race. If they felt confident in what they were doing and why they were doing it, they could run their own race and not pay attention necessarily. Sure, they could attend, they could see what they might work for them, but don't just go out and adopt everything the same and expect the same results. So perhaps as I look at the running of your own race theme here, perhaps no better weekend than this past weekend as an example of clients that I was working with that were running their own race. We worked 4 different virtual galas this weekend, and every single one did a different approach. In one case, a group probably net around 90,000 would be my estimate. They had a completely pre-recorded event. A school will probably net around $70,000, which is a huge high for them. They went with Zoom meeting. All of the bidding and the donating for the Raise the Paddle was in the chat. A larger school, private school, will probably be in that 270-ish range net. They opted to do something that I had not yet done. We had Zoom bidding in the chat for the live auction items. And then for the Raise the Paddle, they said, hey, let's pull out your phone and make a donation through Raise the Paddle on your phone. So they used 2 different technologies in that virtual gala. And then a fourth one, which will probably be over 200,000 net, maybe 220, 230, maybe something in there. They had a studio style 2-screen solution. So looking at the camera, encouraging people to go bid on their phone for the online auction and encouraging people to donate on their phone for the Raise the Paddle as well. Every single one of those groups did something different. Now, certainly in my wrap-ups with them, I'm going to have some suggestions and say, hey, I think this worked well or this didn't work well. But the point being that they didn't have to mimic anyone else. They ran their own race. A week and a half ago, I had a prospect call me and she says, I want to have Zoom bidding in chat. I want to make sure that my live auction items are sold in the chat. And she says, do you do that? Because I've already talked to several auctioneers and they won't do that. Do you do that? I said, yes, I do that. And we talked about it, and she's probably going to call some other auctioneers to get some comparisons and so forth. But the point being is that that woman knew what she wanted, and she kept calling, and wasn't dissuaded by anyone because she knew what she wanted. That's the power of being informed. That's the power of running your own race. I hear that a lot. I'm not a runner, but I hear that a lot with endurance runners and so forth when they're talking about running marathons or ultra marathons, is that they've got to run their own race. They can't be paying attention to what's going on around here. And to do that, you've got to be educated so that you feel comfortable saying, we're doing this. This is what we want. We're committed to this, not that, saying no to something else. So that was my words of wisdom here for you as we move into these in-person events again. Same deal goes. Doesn't matter. I'm not just talking about virtual events. Same deal goes with in-person events. We're going to see some things roll out that are not going to work for everybody. And we have to think about what's going to work for us. I already did a video. It talked about hybrid events and my fear for all of those, utilizing both in-person skills to sell, but also trying to incorporate in something remotely. I think that's going to be a real challenge. You can go find that video. But the point is that if we know what we're going to race, that we're going to run, we don't have to be intimidated by what everyone else is doing as well. Okay. I lost it there. For other resources on benefit auctions, head over to my website. That's at redappleauctions.com. Lots of good free stuff over there that you can start your education process with. I'm Sherry with Red Apple Auctions. As always, good luck to you in your fundraising gala.